You're listening to the N2K Space Network.
And now, a word from our sponsor, SpyCloud, the cybercrime analytics leader. SpyCloud disrupts cybercrime by telling you what criminals know about your business and your customers, so you can take action to prevent ransomware, session hijacking, account takeover, and online fraud. SpyCloud constantly recaptures and analyzes new data from the criminal underground, including credentials, session cookies, and PII siphoned from malware-infected devices. With knowledge of the specific exposed data criminals have in hand from InfoStealer malware on managed and unmanaged devices, security teams can respond with a more efficient and effective process called post-infection remediation that fits seamlessly into existing incident response frameworks. Get SpyCloud's post-infection remediation guide outlining the 7 steps for preventing a malware infection from becoming a full-blown ransomware incident. Visit spycloud.com/cyberwire. That's spycloud.com/cyberwire. And we thank SpyCloud for sponsoring our show.
A little primer on the Space Development Agency for you to start our show today. The Space Development Agency's resilient layered network of military satellites and supporting elements is called the Proliferated Warfighter Space Architecture, or PWSA. The architecture was formerly known as the National Defense Space Architecture, and it was renamed to more specifically reflect the agency's mission. And that mission is to deliver needed space-based capabilities to the joint warfighter and to support terrestrial missions through development, fielding, and operation of its proliferated low Earth orbit constellation of satellites. And no tricks, just treats. They're handing out contracts like it's Halloween.
T-minus 20 seconds to LOS speed rest. Go for deploy. Roger roll.
Today is October 31st, 2023. Happy Halloween! I'm Maria Varmazes, and this is T-minus. SDA announces 2 new contracts for the Tranche 2 Transport Layer Alpha, totaling $1.3 billion. U.S. Space Systems Command has launched its Technology Accelerator program. 3 Taikonauts return to Earth. And T-minus producer Alice Carruth caught up with Alejandro Molinas, General Director of Aerospace Development at the Paraguayan Space Agency last week. Stay with us for that chat. Let's have a look at our intel briefing for today. The Space Development Agency is on a roll, awarding new contracts for communication satellites to provide encrypted communications. The agency is currently building a proliferated warfighter space architecture, which includes many layers or tranches. The SDA has announced 2 new contracts for the Tranche 2 Transport Layer Alpha, totaling $1.3 billion to Northrop Grumman and York Space Systems. Northrop Grumman's agreement has a total potential value of approximately $732 million to design and build 38 data transport satellites. And York will build 62 satellites for a total potential contract value of $617 million. This Alpha announcement follows an August award to Northrop Grumman of 36 satellites as part of Tranche 2 Transport Layer Beta. Alpha and Beta satellites are designed to interoperate on orbit. Terran Orbital was awarded a contract from Lockheed Martin last week to build 36 satellite buses for the SDA's Tranche 2 Transport Layer Beta constellation. T-minus producer Alice Carruth caught up with Terran Orbital's Director of Civil Space Business Development, Renee Fronert, shortly after that announcement.
We have been as part of this program since the get-go. So T0 or Tranche 0 was the very first program we were on, and we did the satellite buses for that. That was launched earlier in the year over the summer from Vandenberg Space Force Base. And 10 satellites have been on orbit, and we provided the buses for that to Lockheed Martin, and they've been operating nominally. The big news for Terran Orbital was we just announced that we've been awarded 36 satellite buses from Lockheed Martin to provide those for the Space Development Agency's Tranche 2 beta program. So we're looking forward to that. And then Tranche 1 is also under development as we speak.
And you also had big news recently about a new manufacturing facility, and it sounds like it's going to be quite an automated facility. Could you talk me through what it is that's going to look like when it's finally finished?
Yes. So currently we have a manufacturing facility in the California Center of Excellence, which is in Irvine, California, where we're based and headquartered. And we're actually expanding upon that to meet these larger constellation needs across the industry. Right now, we broke ground on a 60,000 square foot manufacturing facility that's down the street from where we currently are based at. And that manufacturing facility, currently called Goodyear, is going to be the very first satellite bus manufacturing facility that's going to be autonomous. We're currently using robotics in our manufacturing facility now to do batteries and smaller avionic components to put those together to speed up the manufacturing time. So we can do a battery for satellites in a matter of hours rather than days and weeks. And so in order to really meet the critical needs, especially for some of these high quantity, high production, short schedule contracts, we're using our facility kind of like, the way that I think about it is almost like the General Motors for cars. We're going to have Goodyear for satellites. So we're going to have a production line that's fully autonomous with robots, the first in the world. It's unprecedented, industry leading. So we're really going to try to get our customers' needs and those standard satellite buses produced and out the door in up to 30 days.
U.S. Space Systems Command has launched its Technology Accelerator program at its newest Technology, Applications, and Process Lab, known as TAP. SSC is working with Virginia Tech's Applied Research Corporation and MITRE Corporation on the program. SSC's Space Domain Awareness TAP Lab Accelerator program was developed to stimulate innovation and collaboration between industry, the Department of Defense, and academia, all of which will offer the diversity of expertise required to address the operational needs of the U.S. Space Force. Have you always dreamt of becoming a Space Force guardian, but felt that you were too old? Well, that may no longer be the case, as the U.S. Space Force has raised the minimum enlistment age to 42. And it's not just the Space Force that quietly upped the age of enlistment by 3 years. The U.S. Air Force has also followed suit after missing its recruiting target for the first time since 1999. Uncle Sam needs you, and anyone else interested and within the age restrictions. Sierra Space's Dream Chaser is on the move again. After completing its flight operations assessment last week, the space plane is now headed to NASA's Neil Armstrong Test Facility in Ohio. The vehicle, named Tenacity, is set to undergo environmental testing at NASA's facility in Ohio, and then it'll be shipped to the Kennedy Space Center in Florida. It's due to launch its first mission to the ISS in 2024. And speaking of vehicles on the move, Astrobotic's Peregrine lunar lander has arrived safely at Cape Canaveral in Florida. The spacecraft was unloaded at Astrotech facilities, where it will be integrated with the United Launch Alliance's Vulcan for launch on December 24th. If you missed our chat with the ISS National Lab last Wednesday, then we suggest you go back and take a listen, as today they've released the payloads that are being launched on the next resupply mission, which is scheduled for this weekend. Among the science experiments headed to the space station are 3D immune liver tissue chips, which will be studied to better understand the relationship between immune system aging and the ability of liver cells to regenerate. And multiple protein crystal growth experiments. You can find more details in our show notes. And speaking of space stations, 3 Chinese Taikonauts have returned to Earth after their 5-month stay on the Tiangong space station. The re-entry capsule with 3 Taikonauts aboard landed at the Dongfeng landing site in the Gobi Desert in North China. The Chinese Manned Space Agency declared the Shenzhou 16 mission the first manned mission in the application and development phase of China's space station, a complete success. And that concludes our intelligence briefing for today. Stay with us to hear about the space industry in Paraguay. We've included links to further reading on all the stories we've mentioned in our show notes, and we've added a few extra for you. One's on Rocket Lab's mission to Venus, another's on a fact sheet from the White House on AI, and why cybersecurity in space is imperative for our future. They're all at space.n2k.com. Hey T-Minus crew, if you're just joining us, be sure to follow T-Minus Space Daily in your favorite podcast app. And also, if you could do us a favor, share the intel with your friends and coworkers. Here's a little challenge for you. By Friday, please show 3 friends or coworkers this podcast. A growing audience is the most important thing for us, and we would love your help as part of the T-Minus crew. And if you find T-Minus useful, please share it so other professionals like you can find the show. Thank you. It means a lot to me and to all of us here at T-Minus.
This episode is brought to you by Palo Alto Networks, the leader in cybersecurity. As AI-driven attacks increase, organizations can't afford to have network security that's stuck in the past. Discover how Palo Alto Networks can help you predict what's coming and proactively secure against it with a zero-trust, AI-powered network security platform built to secure whatever, whenever, wherever. To learn more, visit paloaltonetworks.com/network security platform.
Our guest today is Alejandro Molinas, General Director of Aerospace Development at the Paraguayan Space Agency. T-Minus producer Alice Caruth caught up with him at the Ascend conference last week.
My name is Alejandro Roman. I'm representing the Paraguayan Space Agency. My role there is General Director of Aerospace Development. For emerging countries, that is a huge challenge and a huge opportunity also, because we have a lot of, potentialities as a country, because just for giving you a number, 65% of the population is below 35 years. That is a demographic bonus that we have, and it's a huge opportunity to all those people that's waiting for career opportunities, new business development opportunities. We built our first satellite we started in 2018. Actually, it was an academic program, and it's a CubeSat. It's a small satellite, very low cost, but the principal interest of that was to learn how to build a satellite, the complete process from A to Z. We accomplished that. We launched it on February of 2021. It was a huge impact in the country because Paraguay has 7 million people, and almost 3 million people followed the launch. That is a very great statement and an impact that we needed to do, because we want to install space science and technology as a subject, a strategic subject, not only in the decision-making level, but also in the general public.
How are you incorporating that into academia in Paraguay, making sure that the workforce is ready to be able to come and think about space as an opportunity for them in work?
We have a very close relationship with academia. We are working with 5 universities in Paraguay. We have a lot of internship programs. They learn with us. We help us doing our work, and we help them to continue their career abroad, because the academic opportunities for space is still outside my country. Then we sign MOUs and specific documents with universities to provide more opportunities for Paraguayan students. For today, we have almost 10 people that has been trained outside Paraguay, in Japan, in Taiwan, in many other countries. And we are very proud of the results. Most of them is masters. They have master's degree and PhD degree in space science and technology. And this is a huge advance because with that we can build. This is the foundation that we can build our future space program in Paraguay.
So you sort of tapped a little bit about international partnerships. What's Paraguay doing to find international partners to help build your aerospace business?
Events like this, ASCEND, other space forum, we managed to be present and to connect with the key people. And one of the most important aspects in space that I found is the international cooperation is very strong. And everybody is very generous with their knowledge, with their opportunities, and sometimes also with resources. We want to make joint projects with the space agencies around the world. We are working with NASA, with JAXA, with the European Space Agency. We have very good relationship with our partners and in the region, also in Argentina, Brazil. Everybody's helping us. Our first experience was in disasters because in 2019 we have a flooding that affected 120,000 people. We didn't have at that moment any infrastructure, any satellite, but we have good friends. And I checked the phone and called my good friends in NASA, and they helped us to activate the International Charter for Space and Major Disasters. 22 space agencies working with us, providing information without spending $1 single. And that's an example of how the international cooperation can help emerging countries. And we use that, and with that knowledge, we create a GeoLab, a laboratory, to start doing ourselves. With the open data available, we have a first infrastructure, and we are analyzing data, processing satellite data, and providing solutions for the institution that's working with the special interest for Paraguay is agriculture, forestry, natural resources management, disaster risk reduction, and so on, land management, and so. The Space Agency is helping those institutions to make better decisions using geospatial data.
So one of your South American countries just recently signed the Artemis Accords. Is Paraguay going to be joining them in that in the future?
Yeah, we are in the process. As you know, that requires some internal approval processing involving on many other institutions like Ministry of Foreign Affairs and so. But we express our interest, and we want to be part of the Artemis Accord. I think it's a matter of time.
Yeah. Ecuador is also looking to build a spaceport, not just as a launch facility in the area, but as a hub for business and innovation. Is that something you think you could take to Paraguay and base what you would hope to achieve?
Maybe in the future. But right now we are focusing in two key points, two key areas. One is the small satellite systems engineering, and also Earth observation application, where it's the strongest focus now, because there is the point where emerging countries can extract the most value of the data available. The data is already there. We just need the knowledge to know where to find it, how to download it, how to process it, and how to extract the value information from them without spending a single dollar in the process.
What would you like our international audience to know about Paraguay and how they could work with you?
Oh, we have a very young society, and we have also a very young space agency. We are open to collaborate, to learn, first to learn and then to collaborate. And we are open also. We are working now with our second satellite, and we are open to be to develop partnership with international institutions, space agencies, or universities to put their payloads in our satellite, or vice versa. You know, it's a learning opportunity for us. This is a long-term development that we need to do step by step. Baby steps after first, and then we start to longer steps, and then we will able to run, and someday to fly.
So you're here as part of the Ascend Diverse Dozen. Can you tell me a little bit about that experience and what it is you've come in to represent as part of that team, that cohort?
Yeah, I gotta say that is an amazing opportunity and an amazing experience. I have plenty of grateful for being selected. We have an amazing cohort on the 2023 Ascend the Diverse Dozen, and we are talking a lot about this international cooperation. What we can do, okay, we are here in Ascend, we bring our vision about space sustainability, but what next? I'm very in favor that we continue this conversation in many other areas and to put the ideas down in the paper and start working on that. There is a lot of things that we can do in the Diverse Dozen or even in other space forums, just connecting the dots, just connecting the right people with the needs with the providers, just making some, for example, maybe some UK university, European university, or American university has some research that needs to be tested in the field. Come test it in our countries, because we have the reality there. We need that kind of implementation to show and to see how space science and technology can improve life on Earth. I think many things can be done just connecting people and just sitting everybody in the same table and start talking about our needs, our opportunities, our dreams, our goals, and many good things can come out of that opportunity, of that moment.
So you're obviously going back to Paraguay soon. What are you going to take back from this event? And I believe you're at the IAC in Baku as well.
Yeah, I didn't go to Baku, but I'm chairing the Emerging Countries Committee in the IAF. I have the honor to be chair of that. We started with 20 members. Now we have more than 100. A huge improvement in the interest and collaboration. And I take in always the same thing. Very good friends, very good contacts, a strong network. And with that information, when I come back to Paraguay, I'm sure I will be able to provide with all our colleagues in the Space Agency more opportunity for our people, more opportunity for our emerging business, because this is also a business. The space economy moves more than $400 billion yearly, and we cannot be outside that economy. We cannot just stay in the commodity. We need to grow, we need to think bigger, and, reach the stars.
We'll be right back.
Now, a word from our sponsor, the Johns Hopkins University Information Security Institute, currently seeking qualified applicants for its innovative Master of Science in Security Informatics degree program. Study alongside world-class interdisciplinary experts and gain unparalleled educational, research, and professional experience in information security and assurance. Interested U.S. citizens should consider the National Science Foundation's CyberCorps Scholarship for Service program, which covers tuition and a $6,000 annual professional development allowance, as well as providing a $37,000 additional annual stipend. Apply for the scholarship and the fall semester by March 1st. Learn more at cs.jhu.edu/MSSI.
Welcome back. There is news making the rounds in the space industry press today about a new CEO at Maxar Intelligence, which is a part of Maxar's satellite imagery division. Maxar Intelligence's new CEO is Dan Smoot, and congratulations to him, of course, on the new role. And I had to wonder when I heard his name if he was one of the famous Smoots, or at least famous to those of us who've spent some time in the Boston area or are just nerds for units of measurement. Okay, backing up a second. I'm going to give you a quick geography lesson. The Charles River serves as a boundary between the city of Boston proper to the south of it and the fair city of Cambridge of Harvard and MIT fame to the north of it. And there are several bridges that connect Cambridge and Boston. The Elliott, the Anderson, the Longfellow, and the hilariously named Harvard Bridge, which is actually nowhere near Harvard and is instead right in front of MIT. It's the most Massachusetts thing I can possibly think of. Perhaps because of that confusing name, a lot of people here don't actually call it the Harvard Bridge. Instead, we know it as the Smoot Bridge. Well, why? Well, in 1958, MIT student Oliver Smoot was pledging to the Lambda Chi Alpha fraternity in MIT, and his frat brothers were curious how long the Harvard Bridge was. So instead of using a ruler, they used the 5'7" or 1.702 meters tall Oliver Smoot. And they had him lie down on the bridge over and over and over. And when he got tired of doing that, they simply dragged the poor guy until they had their answer. The length of the Harvard Bridge is 364.4 smoots plus or minus 1 ear. Every 10 smoots, there is a painted smoot marker on the bridge and callouts for other notable numbers along the way to 364.4 plus or minus 1 ear. I'll let you use your imagination what number that could be. And at 182.2 smoots, the halfway point, there is a sign that says halfway to hell as it points to MIT. And the numbers do get worn out over the decades, but they are frequently repainted. The legacy lives on. And there's even a plaque on the Smoot Bridge, noting that Oliver Smoot, after his MIT graduation, and I promise you this is all true, not only did he go on to head both the American National Standards Institute and the International Organization for Standardization over the course of his career, the Smoot is also a semi-legitimate unit of measurement. It pops up in random places now and then. For example, back when Google Earth was a thing, remember that? You could actually measure distances in the app in smoots. Now, there are a lot of people in the world with the last name of Smoot, and if there is any relation beyond the name between Oliver Smoot and Maxar Intelligence's new CEO, Dan Smoot, my cursory searching of social media hasn't yielded any information on that. But that said, I'm just putting it out there. Just saying, I think it would be pretty great if Maxar did offer its satellite imagery data in resolutions of smoots. That's it for T- for October 31st, 2023. For additional resources from today's report, check out our show notes at space.n2k.com. We're privileged that N2K and podcasts like T- are part of the daily routine of many of the most influential leaders and operators in the public and private sector, from the Fortune 500 to many of the world's preeminent intelligence and law enforcement agencies. This episode was produced by Alice Carruth. Mixing by Elliot Peltzman and Trey Hester, with original music and sound design by Elliot Peltzman. Our executive producer is Brandon Karpf. Our chief intelligence officer is Eric Tillman. And I'm Maria Varmazes. Thanks for listening. We'll see you tomorrow.